Welcome, my name is Pieter de Rooij and I want to share some ideas about my PhD thesis, Customer Loyalty to Performing Arts Venues. This is part number 9, the management implications. I want to share ideas around 4 practical issues: communication, experiential value, the internal customer-oriented culture, and external cooperation. I want to start with communication. Some theaters, they have CRM systems which generate customer knowledge, and more performing arts venues use these systems in order to create more and more knowledge. And based on this customer knowledge, performing arts venues can differentiate between customer segments. And for example, it might be interesting, based on a customer database analysis, to distinguish between a few groups, such as interested participants and core audience, which do like to receive a brochure still. They are interested in performing arts, they're interested to read this brochure, and they can also find their way through all these hundreds of performances. Moreover, these groups, especially from the core audience, maybe some of them, some of the customers might be willing to become an ambassador, and it would be very interesting if this ambassador would be able to share his ideas and his experiences using social media. Another group which might be distinguished is the group of incidental spectators, people who do not attend your venue that often. And actually, they sometimes receive a performing arts venue's brochure, but actually they do not use it. They look at it, put it on the table, and 1 week later it disappears in the dustbin. Sometimes, or in many cases maybe, these people are overwhelmed by the enormous offer of hundreds performances in these brochures. So the brochure is not really the right communication tool for this group. Attending performing arts is not in their system, so they should be confronted with specific offers from time to time. So actually they need more regular communications. Another way of dealing with this issue in reaching customers is full personalization. So let the guest choose which kind of newsletters or brochure he wants. Maybe he can tick some boxes, or he can show what his genres are, what he prefers. Or maybe he can say, well, I want to have a weekly newsletter, or maybe a monthly newsletter. Another issue is the online support of social decision-making processes. The decision-making process in the performing arts industry is not an individual process, but it is a social process. So individuals, they talk to family or friends, and they communicate, and together they decide which performance they will attend. And I think it would be very good if a venue supports this decision-making process online. So, for example, venues could support their guests that they share their wish lists of the performances they want to see next year by social media. Another element is improving search categories on websites. Customers, they might use different terms than professionals do. And solely presenting a list of genres might not be sufficient anymore. Maybe search categories should be more in line with the consumption motives, which I dealt with in one of the clips earlier. Finally, the final communication tool might be a service mail to be sent out 1 week or maybe 2 weeks before the show starts. First as a reminder for your guest, but also maybe as an additional interaction moment with your guests, and also as a sales moment. For example, you could offer a specific dinner in your restaurant, and the decision to have dinner or not in a restaurant that is taken 1 week or a few weeks before, and mostly not taken at the time the ticket is bought. So such a service mail could serve different elements. Okay, this was communication. Second, experiential value. I've been reading quite some performing arts marketing literature, and I've been talking to management of venues, and my conclusion is that some performing arts venues, they think they are in the business of programming shows, while I feel that performing arts venues are in the business of programming experiences instead of shows. And these experiences, they may be related to the consumption motives, which I talked about in clip number 4. You see a figure here about these motives. I will not elaborate on each motive, but I feel it is interesting to have this picture in mind when creating experiences. And first of all, I think it's important to determine the DNA of the organization. Which experiences are central in your offering? Is it cultural stimulation? Is it cultural reduction? Is it social bonding? And then I think it's interesting to create a social cultural value instead of a cultural value only. So, for example, a venue might organize workshops for a select group of customers who meet on a regular basis, so they can become friends, for example. And in some cases, I find out that the social value of performing arts is even more important than the cultural value. Some of your customers, they just want to have a good time with friends. And in some cases, attending a performing arts venue is well, maybe just an excuse to be with friends. And actually, the venue, in that case, is a platform for social interaction. So this platform should be, well, facilitated by the venue. Co-creation is another topic. I think it's interesting, for example, to invite customers to come up with suggestions for your programming of next year, so that you invite them to come up with ideas. And finally, the experiential value should also be differentiated between customer segments. And this picture is an example of that. You see on the left-hand side different types of value, social, cultural value, and you also see different segments. And this might be a way of structuring and dividing social cultural value amongst different groups. Third item is the internal customer-oriented culture. Serving the customer is not only a thing for the marketing department. It is important for the whole organization. It's important for every department. For example, some theaters in the Netherlands, they send out a satisfaction survey shortly after each performance. And this is automatically sent out. The CRM system is taking care of that. A few days later, the results are coming in, and then a multidisciplinary team consisting of people from different departments, they look at the results and they pick up the problems. Sometimes it's a quick fix and solved easily. Sometimes it's complex, and then, well, it has to be solved by the management. But this shows that cooperation between departments within a venue is really important. Final practical issue is the external cooperation, divided into two sections, vertical and horizontal. If you look at vertical cooperation, what you see is that there is a division in a production role and the distribution role. So the performer is on the production role side, the venue is on the distribution role side. And in fact, the venue is the legal owner of the customer relationship because he owns customer data. The artist, however, is the content owner. And it would be very interesting if both parties collaborate in the customer journey process, since then they can enhance the customer value together. They need each other. Also on the horizontal level, cooperation is needed. So between venues, I think programming should be geared more to one another. Sometimes you see that in one specific city there are multiple performances of one specific genre in 1 week, and then you might argue, well, is there a market for that? Another reason is that if they collaborate, they can enlarge their customer knowledge, and they can improve the use of customer knowledge better. They can target their customers better if they cooperate. It's also in line with customer decision-making processes, because many people are not focused on a specific venue, but they are focused on a specific performer. So all in all, this might lead to cost reduction. These are 4 issues. It belongs to the clip number 9, management implications. Maybe you're interested to see one of the other clips. Please do so. This was to share and inspire some ideas about my PhD thesis, Customer Loyalty to Performing Art Venues. You can download the thesis, or you can contact me, and I'll be willing to for further research collaboration. Thank you.